away we go.
Did you just find it too hard to pierce them and work their way through their defences?
Oh, I think the contest stuff was the biggest challenge for us. We weren't able to be as hard and strong as we needed to be, and they were much harder and much stronger, and they were making us pay more than we were making them pay with their movement of the ball when they went forward.
That's unusual though for your, I guess the midfield colours got lowered collectively.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, there's no doubt that they were better than us around the ball tonight. They had dominance from the rucks, and then they were able to get ground level dominance as well, and they were physically stronger, and that's a challenge for our boys, because a couple of times we've been beaten, that's where we've been beaten. It's not that we're not capable, but there's been nights where we haven't been able to perform at the level we want. So I don't want anyone to go, oh, we're not strong, we're not hard enough. We're genuinely a pretty hard team, but tonight we weren't.
So was it too much to ask with Peter Laddams tonight? Too much to ask with Peter Laddams tonight?
I had a massive challenge, up against two good ruckmen, and that was our challenge last week, and Pete had to rise that, and then the challenge doesn't get any smaller for the next game or the game after. He's a work in progress, and he found enough of the ball himself, but the ruck work contest was clearly dominated by St Kilda.
Did you have enough height in your back line tonight? I guess that's something the people said after the Brisbane game, that you maybe need another key defender or another tall defender in there. Did you feel like you maybe were a bit small?
Tell me why.
The fact that Marshall had up there, Membry, Matt's King.
Yeah. I think if you look at the way they got their goals, they went from marks. They had, I think, 4 marks inside their forward 50. So I don't think it was an in the air issue for us. I think it was a supply issue from them coming down. And when we had Westy down there, we're taller tonight than we've been in previous weeks. So I don't think height's the issue. It's the way the ball comes that'll cause you problems. And look, to be fair, I think they kicked 1 point, didn't they? They didn't miss, so they took even the goal reviews. We've spoiled the ball, and that's not a height issue, is it? It's just their ability to be effective when they got it in there, and that's what they've been good at all year.
Any feedback from the players as to why they were so jumpy and handling the ball?
No. I think the conditions made it equally as challenging for both sides, but we certainly didn't look as clean as they were.
Just in case in that last quarter, you just couldn't get your hands on the ball to.
Yeah, we couldn't get it in our part of the ground, and we typically do that. We're typically the team that dominates that part of the ground. I mean, the third quarter at the start showed that. That's where we were playing. We were playing our game a little bit better than we had been for most of the night. We just weren't able to put the score on the board. As I said, they kicked incredibly accurately, and we probably wasted 1 or 2 opportunities that would have made it feel slightly differently at times.
How pivotal was that moment when Westy shanked it straight to Butler? Well, I guess when obviously
turnovers are always pivotal, and when they cost you a goal, they hurt a bit more. But turnovers happen throughout the night all the time, and when you reflect, you'll see lots of poor turnovers from both sides at times. That's what we don't like to have as coaches, and we don't like them at any time, but particularly when they happen like that. But it's not a one person's fault, it's just what happens in a game of footy.
So what discussion do you have with Westhoff now? Because not just about that moment, but you didn't have him in the side, and his form hasn't been great in recent weeks. So what sort of discussion are you having with him?
That's exactly that conversation, that his form is he's struggling a little bit to find the ball when he needs to find the ball, whether that be in the forward line or whether that be his ability in the ruck. With this, and tonight he went down back and he was okay down back. He won some battles. There was enough coming down there at times, but he didn't win all his battles. But Westy's played a lot of footy. He knows what he needs to do. He doesn't need too much coach feedback, to be fair.
What do you do with Robbie Gray? Obviously last week, the match winner, probably a bit quiet today. Yeah, he seems to be a bit quiet by his lofty standards in 2020 so far.
Yeah, we said that. I mean, Rob's last week, but you play him every game of the year nearly because of the last week's ability to finish like he did. He had the ability to put that ball through. He's like a lot of people up in the front half. They need the supply to be better, and our supply tonight wasn't enough and wasn't good enough when we had enough.
Do you put him up? Do you get him more around the ball to try and get a bit of creativity, get a bit of spark from him?
Look, Rob spends a mixture of time anyhow in every game. He spends some moments around the ball, and that's depending on what the game's doing at times. So we use him to our advantage as best we can.
Yeah, excuse me, because I haven't been able to see you over a full vision of a ground for a long time, but are you rotating more guys on your wings now than ever before? Those four, is that standard for you to do that?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we pretty much have 3 to 4 wingers most weeks. We have a couple that play a lot of wing time, and we mix and match a little bit through the rest of it.
I know it's not your concern, but how impressed were you by the Saints? They were good here against the Crows on Monday night.
Yeah, you're right. It's not my concern. It's Brett's job to worry about that. All I know is that we've got to do a lot of work to get ourselves right for next Thursday, and I'll spend my time worrying about us. But the Saints, like every team you play in the competition, when they have their nights, they look really, really strong team.
Is the contest and I guess getting better looks when you're going forward, is that the main thing you're going to be working on in the limited time you have until Thursday?
Yeah, we've got to move on pretty quickly, and we have to work on our contests, there's no doubt. We have to work on parts of our game every week, but, and the challenges with working on your game at the moment are there. So we won't hide away from it. We'll get on the front foot and get as proactively active as we can and look to play a much better game again next week.
I'm sure the windows in the glass box didn't hide the crowd noise. Were you just as vocal inside about some of the decisions the umpires were making?
I'm not an umpire basher at all, but gee, that was an interesting game. I think the challenge with the umpiring, I'll say this, the challenge with the umpiring is that it should not change from week to week. That's confusing for everyone, players, for the umpires. Like the umpires walk off there tonight and they got a howling. That's not their fault, most of it. The game shouldn't get adjusted from week to week. The rules are the rules. They don't need to change. We just need to umpire them consistently, like I want my team to play consistently. You can't tell me that coaches talking about the umpiring, or Gil talking about the umpiring, or me talking about the umpiring and trying to make it an adjustment. That doesn't work. That's not the way the game should be. And for umpires to have a week-to-week focus. Their week-to-week focus shouldn't change from round one to round whatever we play, because their focus should be to umpire the rules as they're written and umpire them that way. Then everyone will become really clear with what to expect. There is absolutely no doubt it's more confusing today than it's ever been.
Is that down, I guess, a little bit down to Alistair Clarkston when he came out and some stuff around holding the ball? Do you think that's really shifted and created that confusion now?
I don't know exactly, but I think that, as I said, the umpiring should be left to be umpired by the umpires, and it shouldn't be I don't see the rules changing. I don't understand that. We play the game every week. We should play it with the same rules every week. I don't know that we need to make adjustments. We shouldn't behave like there's something needs to be fixed every week if it comes to umpiring or playing the game. We should just let it play.
Just looking at the next lot of games, have you got an overall blueprint in your mind about rotations and that sort of thing, or will we just go game by game and then day by day?
Yeah, we have to play a little bit because this is the first one we're going into. Pretty much we're going into a 5-day break this week, and then it gets really tight from there. But we need to approach the first one like it's a normal week, and we will approach it like it's a normal week. And then the next 3 weeks we will approach them as we get to them. We won't lose sight of the fact that next week's the most important week, and the week after, or the game after, and the game after, and the game after, we'll take care of them as we get to them as best we possibly can. And we'll have, obviously, we've got clear thinking and clear planning around the challenges of the next 3 or 4 games. It's not weeks, it's next three or four games. So we've got we understand what the challenges are, and we'll be ready for them.